ያረገኝ አይኔ ነው አይተሽ በክፉቀን እንድግባባሽ ፈልጌ ሰው ያስተዋውቀን አሳፈርሽኝ የመውደዴ ልነግርሽ ብሞክር ምን ጨካኝ ነሽ ማትራሪ የማይገባሽ ፍቅር
Mr. Jeol Tencer, thank you very much to permit me to just interview you. I'll just go directly to the question.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, let's start with my name. Jeol Tencer, T-E-N-C-E-R. I'm a licensed immigration consultant. My immigration law practice is here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm licensed by the Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council, and I specialize, therefore, as an immigration consultant in 3 areas of law: immigration cases, refugee cases, and Canadian citizenship cases. So in the area of immigration cases, I represent clients from anywhere in the world who would like to immigrate to Canada, to show whether they are skilled workers, they have an occupation, whether they are skilled trades, such as they're tradespeople, plumbers, electricians. Some people are professional people, architects, doctors, and so on. And I've represented over the years many immigrants coming into Canada that way. And in addition to that, there are different categories of immigration. There is business immigration, so people who are business people and would like to open a business here in Canada. There's an immigration program for business people where they can pick a province and open up a business in that province if the province nominates them for immigration. And that way they can immigrate their family, open up a business. It's good for the economy of the province, and it's good for the applicant because he gets to immigrate to Canada as a business immigrant under the provincial nomination program. There are some provinces where you just donate money to the government of that particular province, and if you're chosen, you'll be able to immigrate there. And I also do appeals if people apply and the Canadian Embassy says no to the application. Like, for example, if you marry a foreign national, a Canadian or permanent resident marries a foreign national outside of Canada, or they marry inside, and the Canadian Embassy eventually says no, they refuse the decision, I can appeal that to the Immigration Appeal Division. And I've represented people, as a matter of fact, several clients before the Immigration and Refugee Board, such as appeals, losing permanent resident status in Canada. I've represented clients on appeals like that. And I also do family class sponsorship, which means if you marry a foreign national and you want to bring that husband or wife into Canada, or if you marry them in Canada, I can do an immigration application that the foreign national husband or wife can come to Canada, or parents, grandparents. It's called family class. And in addition to that, I can also do refugee cases. I've done many refugee cases over the years, both inside Canada. People come here to study or visit or work, and they don't want to go back to their country because they're afraid for their lives are in danger. There's persecution there in their country, and they might be subject to persecution. Basically, their lives are in danger, so they'll come to me to try to protect them and let them stay in Canada. So I'm able to do that, and I represent clients therefore before the before the Refugee Protection Division, which is a division of the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada. And there, it's in downtown Toronto here, where I represented many clients over the years, and the majority have been successful in, when I've represented them, and I've been able to get them protected, then they become permanent residents. So for example, I've represented clients from Iraq who came here, didn't want to go back because of the violence and the instability, lives are in danger, clients from Afghanistan, other clients in the Middle East, and so on. And the third area of law that I practice is citizenship cases. I've helped people become Canadian citizens, fill out the application, submit it, they attend the hearing, and it's an entire process, of course, and eventually they become citizens. I've got a few clients right now who've come to me to help them in citizenship. So that, Tishom, is the area that three areas that I do every day here, and I've been doing this now for over 14 years. I'm in my 15th year now. Wow. In this, practicing as immigration consultant, I've done hundreds and hundreds of clients and files over the years.
Okay, what are your goals as they relate to immigration? Sorry? What are your goals?
My goals? Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's fair to say for me anyways that the main goal for me and what satisfies me the most and gives me a great feeling for my cases is when I'm successful. And the majority of my cases, of course, are successful. And I'm able to get results for clients, whether from Ethiopia, Iraq, doesn't matter where. And I'm able to bring them into Canada and make a new life for themselves. Children go to school here. People open up a business. People work here as a doctor, as an architect, artist, whatever the case is. So getting positive results for my clients is, I would say, the main goal. Aside from the legal fee, that's always fine, legal fees, but it gives me that great amount, that good inner feeling when I'm successful. And fortunately, I've been successful in the majority of my cases over the years. So that's the main goal to show me. Mm-hmm. A feeling of inner satisfaction when I'm successful.
This time, what do you want to tell to the Ethiopians community?
Well, the Ethiopian community should know that, as with other communities outside of Canada, I've represented many different communities. Mm-hmm. I've represented Muslims, for example, Sunni Muslims, Shia Muslims over the years. And the Ethiopian community should not hesitate if they want. They can contact me. I can give you my phone number, my contact address here in Toronto. I'm able to help them as I help other communities. My legal fees are negotiable, they're reasonable. If people need a discount, I do discount my legal fees to help people, give them a break. And the Ethiopian community, if I can fit them into an immigration program here in Canada that's legal, then I will recommend that they go for it. And in my website, I have an immigration application. Your community should know this. My website is www.jtimmigration.com. www.jtimmigration.com. And there I have an immigration application. And I recommend to all people, and no different with the Ethiopian community as well, if they fill that application out online, it'll come to me. I'll review it, and if I see there's a chance of them qualifying, I will email them, I will contact them, and try to help them as other communities and other people from other countries that have contacted me. And as well in Canada, we mustn't forget there's people here in Canada from your community that might need my legal help. They want to renew a visitor visa because it's coming up, the renewal. They're here as a permanent resident. They want to become a citizen. They're here and they meet somebody and enter into a relationship of marriage, and they want to sponsor that person and live with that person here. I can help them. Immigration programs don't change, whether it's the Ethiopian community, any community in the world, as long as I can help them under the laws of Canada to do with immigration, And I can help your people also in refugee cases if I see that there's...
Get free music on mdundo.com.
So I talked about that earlier. Family sponsorship is where you, the Canadian permanent resident or Canadian citizen, you want to bring in your parents, like you said, or grandparents. It's a lottery today. We just had it every January of every year. Immigration Canada, Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada. It's called IRCC for short. They open up their website. And there's a form. And they accept the first 20,000 adult children who fill out that form who want to sponsor their parents or grandparents. And then they close it. This year was 20,000. A fair number, but many more wanted to, but they wouldn't take the first more than 20,000. But that's parents and grandparents. Then there's husbands and wives. Like I said before, you marry somebody from outside of Canada who's a foreign national, either there in their country or in Canada. And I can do a spousal common law partner family class sponsorship. Your common law partner, you're living with somebody for a year, or you're entering into a marriage. You can bring dependent children in. You can bring in siblings, brother, sister, but that gets more complicated. Brother, sister, nephew needs to have to be under 18, not married, their parents not alive. It's very difficult. But it's called the family class sponsorship, and it's available. There's also one called the last relative clause under family class. So one-time, lifetime opportunity. You're all alone, for example. You have no relatives. You never married. You have no living. You have no uncles, no aunts, nobody in Canada. And you have outside of Canada a relative. Doesn't matter what age. And you have nobody else that you could bring in. So you are able, and you make an application under family class sponsorship to bring in that relative. You're all alone. And I have a case like that right now coming up. I've interviewed the lady twice. She's all alone. Never married, no children, no relatives here. But she has a relative outside of Canada and nobody else that she could sponsor. That's called the last relative visa clause section, whatever, application, whatever you want to call it. But that's an example. So family class is a very popular immigration program to show, as is business, which I've spoken about before. And skilled workers, you know, they're very popular. There's architects, there's doctors, there's bankers, there's analysts. We need them all in Canada, but the key is to qualify, and that's not easy. You gotta have enough points, you gotta have age, education, and so on.
Okay. Does somebody need a study permit? How does he apply?
So a study permit is available, of course. It's a temporary resident application, just like a visitor visa application.
Yeah.
You're here for a while, then you got to go back home.
Can you just explain more?
So study permits, you asked me, the first step is for the foreign national to approach a Canadian school, a designated learning institution it's called.
Okay.
A recognized school that is able to take in foreign nationals. And they have to get a letter of acceptance. The foreign national, let's say from Ethiopia, needs to get a letter of acceptance. If they don't get that, I can't help them. Can I get the letter of acceptance? I don't have the time, and I don't go to the different schools to try to help out people. I just don't have the time for that. I'm not involved in that. But if they bring me or send me a letter of acceptance from a designated learning institution in Canada, that's the first step. Then I can open a file, and I can work with them and get them into Canada to study. But they have to return at the end of their studies. However, some people who come here can change their minds. They can graduate, work for a year, and then they can apply to become a permanent resident of Canada. But they need a letter of acceptance, and the Canadian Embassy will issue a study permit, but they want to be satisfied you're going to return home because you're a temporary resident with a study permit. However, once you're here, you can always change your mind. And if you qualify after working for a while, you can apply to become a permanent resident. That's a study permit. Letter of acceptance is the key. Got to get accepted by a school. And schools aren't cheap. Foreign nationals are paying much more than Canadians do in high school, primary school, whatever the case is, college.
Any question which you have not mentioned so far? Any suggestion? Or what you want to say?
What I'd like to say is that if you want to come to Canada and become a permanent resident, you can't just say, I love Canada, I like the weather, I want to move here. It's not going to work. You have to have an education. As a skilled worker, you need 2 degrees today, or a master's, and a high things, like I said, and be relatively young in order to qualify to come to Canada. You can't just come to Canada because you like it, and we have stable government, we have democracy, we have voting. We don't have what's going on in other countries, which is unfortunate, like in the certain Middle Eastern countries, and in Africa, what's going on. Women are being attacked, and there's different violence going on. And here it's a good country. Canada is very attractive out there, but you have to qualify. You don't fit into the immigration program, I can't help you. And that's why I did the immigration application on my website. Answer the questions. And if I see there's a chance, if I can fit them into one of the immigration programs we have, I will. And we have a great refugee system. But again, if you're outside, you got to get the documents I need. If you're inside, you got to prove to me. I got to get enough evidence to help you out so I can get you to stay here and become permanent resident. Not have to go back to your country where there's violence and your life's at risk. So basically, you got to fit yourself in. And if you can't, and even money, you have to have settlement funds. Typical example: skilled workers, skilled trade. Settlement funds, approximately $12,000 for you, and $3,000 and some $100 for your wife and children, another $3,000. So it can add up, and many people qualify, and unfortunately, they just don't have the settlement funds to come here and settle. Government of Canada, Immigration Canada will say no, you don't qualify. And I've had people that qualify. They send me the immigration application, but unfortunately, they just don't have the settlement funds. There's no $12,000, even if they're single. The principal applicant, $12,000. They don't have it. They're from Africa or one of the other countries, third world countries, and I can't help them. Even if they have enough points, even if they got a master's, it doesn't matter. You need settlement fund. Typical example, there are requirements that are needed. Canada doesn't want to pay social assistance to everybody coming to Canada, even if they're educated, if they don't have settlement funds. So the key is to contact a professional license. That's important too. A professional licensed immigration consultant like myself, who's certified and knowledgeable and skillful. I mean, again, I've been doing it, going into my 15th year now. You need to go to a person who's licensed, not to somebody who says, look, I can get you into Canada, give me money, don't worry. Those are scam artists. They'll just take your money, they won't do a good job, or they'll disappear. You got to go to a licensed person, and I make sure to, on all my emails and my advertising, I give my registration number with Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council, ICCRC. They're designated, they're licensed by the government, they're been given authority by the government to license people. Don't go to just anybody out there and who has an office and says, Immigration to Canada, come on in, give me your money, I'll help you. No, not good enough. Come to somebody who's licensed, and you can easily find licensed people by going to the website of Immigration Consultants of Canada Regulatory Council, and they're in Toronto, in Burlington, Ontario, and they've got all of our names there who are licensed people. We have a registration license, and those are the people you need to go to, whether it's me or somebody else. You don't just go to anybody, because I've heard of people paying money. Unfortunately, they lose it. Okay.
Okay. Could you just tell your location, telephone number, website,
sure.
where you just,
Yeah, I've been in this office now well over 10 years. I was in another office for several years also. But right now I'm in, it's called North York, Ontario, or Toronto, Ontario. The address is 1018 1018 Finch, Finch Avenue West, Suite 223. My phone number is 416-850-9851. And it's well located. It's at an intersection of Finch and Dufferin Street. My website has all my contact information. You can go there and read up about me. I have articles in there. I have testimonials and letters of reference from many satisfied clients who have given me a letter of reference commending me for my work. You can read all that in my website. And I'll give it to you again, my website. I think I said at the beginning of this interview to Shom. So my website is www.jtimmigration.com. I'm here every day, put in many hours. I'm here to help out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Get free music on mdundo.com.